Hi, everyone, and welcome this morning to Mindful Movement with AARP Alabama. I am your host, Margie Curry, and today's session is with our certified yoga instructor, Becca Impello, who's been teaching and practicing yoga for more than 20 years. We want to remind you that AARP empowers people to choose how they live as they age. AARP is a nonpartisan 501c4 organization that has over 420,000 members in Alabama. AARP's role is to advocate for those 50 plus and their families. AARP Alabama is committed to offering opportunities for people to stay engaged from their home. The Mindful Movement series provides an opportunity for you to keep moving in the safety of your own home. Hey, Becca.
Good morning, Margie.
Good morning. How are you this cold morning?
It is a little chilly this morning, isn't it? Winter
is. It is. I've been out in it, and it's a little chilly this morning. What do you have for us today?
Well, Margie, today I wanted to focus in on the hip joints, okay? The biggest joints in our body, and they have a lot of important functions, which I'll talk a little bit about. So we're going to focus in on moving and strengthening our hips today.
All right. That sounds like something we get ready to keep us from sitting too much to work on that.
Exactly.
All right. Remember, everyone, that before you begin any exercise program, that you need to consult with your physician to be sure that it's safe for you to participate. All right, Becca, let's get started.
All right, very good. All right, so like I just mentioned to Margie, our hip joints, they're some of the biggest joints in our body, and they have, a good amount of movement, more movement available in our hip joints than a lot of our other joints, right? Plus, they take on our load bearing, our weight bearing for much of our daily activities, such as standing, walking, climbing, bending, lifting. All of those involve our hip joints, right? And it's not uncommon for hip joints to get kind of stiff or even to get weak if we stop using them or stop doing some of those activities, if we're a little more limited in those. So today we're going to focus on loosening up the hips and doing some strengthening activities for them as well. All right. So we'll take our chair as our base position, right? So go ahead and have a seat in a nice upright chair if you have one from the kitchen, or the dining room table would work, or a folding chair if you have one. We'll do some things seated, and then we'll do some things standing. And you always have the option to hold on to the chair when we're standing if you need a little support for your balance and stability. All right. Now, as always, I'm going to advise you to, move through your joint in ways that don't increase pain. Maybe you've got some stiffness or some pain in your hip. That's not a good reason to stop moving, right? Again, we want you to consult with your physician and make sure exercise is safe. But we know that moving joints, even ones that are, having some issues, is better than not moving them. You just might need to make your movements smaller, or you might need to rest a little more often. All right, so let's sit tall in our chair, get those feet on the floor. We're going to just take a few moments to breathe and get our awareness in our body. So let your arms dangle down to your sides. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, let it out through the mouth. Big breath in. If you want, you can shrug your shoulders up. Let them drop down as you breathe out. 2 more times. 1 more. All right, now our hips don't live in isolation in our body. They're connected to everything else, of course, and we'll do a few things that warm up the rest of the body as well. So let's go ahead and start with a couple of shoulder rolls just to get our self warmed up and moving a little bit. See what you notice about how it feels there in your shoulders and your upper back. Good. Let those shoulders roll back and down, and then turn the head side to side. Good. Go ahead and keep that head or chin over towards one side, and then bring it down and across the chest, and then take it back across. Let's go back and forth with that head roll, neck roll a few more times. All right, and then bring that head back up to center. Now, let's go ahead and start to get aware of our seat, our literal sitting bones in the bottom of our pelvis. So I want you just to start rocking or leaning or shifting side to side. Feel that one sitting bone and then the other. Now we're going to do a little something called hip walking, all right, in our chair. It can also be done if you're sitting on the ground, but then your legs, are out in front. So what I want you to do is I want you to start walking back in your chair. So I'm walking one hip and then the other. I get as far back as I can, and then I'm going to start to walk forward. So I'm doing that side to side shift, but I'm pulling that pelvis forward. Now I'm going to walk it back. This is just getting our pelvis and our back, our low back especially, moving a little bit. Walk forward, walk back. Let's go one more time. Walk forward, walk back. Land about in the middle of your chair now. All right, sit tall. Now we're going to make a circle around the pelvis, right? So our trunk, our head and shoulders and the rest of our trunk are following along, but I'm focusing my attention on the feeling in my hips. They're on the chair. That weight shift around. I'm going to come forward. I'm going to roll a little bit back. Keep on going, making that circle as big as feels comfortable for you and your body. Starting to notice, hopefully, the crease of the hip joints there in front where we do our bending. Let's switch direction. Go the other way around. Circling, shifting that weight around the pelvis. All right, come back to center. Bring those feet forward. Now for this next one, you got some choices. I like to give you choices so you can make this more challenging if you want, or you can give yourself a little more support if you need. So we can all work at the right level for ourselves. So you might choose to hold on to the chair as we begin marching. That'll give you a little support to keep your trunk up. If you want a little more challenge, you can take those arms and stiffen them up and hold them out to the side. So I'm lifting and lowering one leg at a time, slowly, with control. I might even imagine that I've got, something heavy on my feet, like big heavy boots, right? Or that, there's a weight attached there and I've got to pull up. That way we can get a little more work out of our muscles if we want. Good. 4 more. 3, 2, 1. Now let's just take a little break. Let those arms drop down. Pick up one foot for me and circle that foot and ankle. Go the other direction. Good. And then let's do that to the other leg. Just get the rest of that leg moving a little bit. Circle. And go the other way. All right, now we're going to come back to that same sort of movement. You can have your hands down, you can hold the chair, you can take them out and up. This time we're going to take a big circle. Lift that leg, but bring it out to the side and then all the way back in. Imagine that there's a big box or maybe 2 big boxes out in front of you, right? And you've got to lift your leg up and over it. Try to stay tall in your spine, avoid turning your body to the side, and try to avoid leaning back. Up and out, up and in. Up and out, up and in. Good. 4 more. This is helping us immobilize that hip joint, starting to open it out. 2 more. All right, back to center. Let those arms drop down. Give them a little shake out. All right, now we're going to do some isometric strengthening for the muscles in our hips. So our glute muscles and our hip flexors for this next one. You can use your hand if you want a little extra resistance. So I'm going to place my hands on my thighs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push down with one leg while I pull up into my hand with the other leg. So I'm pushing and I'm pulling and then relax. And then the other side, push down, lift up, relax and switch. Push, make sure that leg's pushing into the floor. That might be the harder one to focus on. Again, the hand on your knee is optional. Push down and pull up. Good. 4 more. 2 more. All right, good. Now relax, just a little movement, open and close those knees. All right, let your feet stay kind of close together, but push the knees out, squeeze them in. Push them out, squeeze them in. Now, if you want, you can do a little help with this. Push out, squeeze in. Not required, right? If it doesn't feel comfortable for your shoulders, or you just don't feel like you need to add extra work, you don't have to use the hands, but if you want that extra resistance to push against, you can use them here. Good. 4 more. And last one. All right, what are you noticing about your own hips and muscles here? What actions are giving you more challenge? What sensations are you noticing? These are all things I want you to be coming back to. All right, we're gonna do one more thing here in the chair before we do some standing work. All right, this is to work on rotation of the hips, right? So the hip joint, the thigh bone rotates in and out, right? And that's some of the more, limited motion that our hips may have, especially as we get older. We tend to lose that range of motion. So what I want you to try to do is to keep your feet wide and lift your foot up and in. All right. Try not to lift your whole leg up, right? Imagine that you've got a desk over your thighs, that you've got, something sort of blocking the thighs so that they can't lift up, so that we really get that rotation. And it's okay if you're realizing, wow, I can't go very far with this. That's all right. It may be a really small motion, so that's perfectly fine. All right, let's do 4 more of this one. This is our external rotation where we turn the knees, the thighs out. All right, now we'll do the other direction. Walk your feet, your knees close together, and we're going to try and lift the foot up and out. This is internal rotation where the thighs turn inward, okay? So again, I'm trying to imagine that I've got something over the top of my lap and I can't lift my legs up. I'm just trying to lift the foot out to the side to rotate the thigh in and down a little bit. Again, this might be a small amount of movement. You may feel like a muscle here in the outer upper thighs getting a little crampy. That's all sign that you're using those muscles. All right, last 4 of these. And 1. Good. All right. Now we're going to come on up to standing. All right. We'll get on our feet. We're going to have this chair to utilize in a couple different ways. So the first way we're going to use it, everybody should go ahead and just try it with the chair. This is not one that you do without the chair. We use the chair as our base, right? So we're going to stand a little bit back from the chair and just bend over and put those hands down in the seat. All right, this gives us sort of like a tabletop position, similar to being in hands and knees on the floor. You could also put those hands down on a table if you wanted to be a little higher, or if you wanted to be a little lower, maybe a lower table like a coffee table. All right, now we're going to make some circles with the hips, right? So we're going to shift the hips over to the side and bring them back and around to the other side. And just try to get some movement, nice and fluid. There's no wrong way to do this movement. Let your knees be soft, let them move so that you can get more movement out of the hips. Go the other direction. All right, come back to center. All right, now Firm up those arms, press a little more directly down into the chair. All right, you can have your knees bent if you need them to be. And take one leg up, squeeze that glute. Try not to arch your back, right? So not so high that your back goes into movement. And then bring that knee underneath you or underneath the belly towards the chair, towards your chest or your arms. And then kick it back. So we're actually working both hips here. The one we're standing on, that's having to work for stability, right? It's having to stay stable. And then this other hip, we're using the muscles in the glutes and in the front, and we're mobilizing it by moving it back and forth. Keep it slow and under control. 2 more, and then we're going to hold. All right, so hold that leg back and up. Push through the chair. Now, if you want a little more challenge, try taking the opposite arm and reaching it forward. Do a little balancing here. One more breath. And then bring that leg down, bring that hand down. Go ahead and give it some circles again. See if you have an awareness that you used some muscles in those hips. All right, let's do that one to the other side. So press through those arms, lift that other leg up. All right, and then bring that bent knee, pull it towards the chest, towards the chair, stretch back and reach. Go slow. We don't want to fling that leg. Take it as, high or through whatever space distance you can take it through with control. Good. Couple more. What do you notice? Are you getting tired quicker on this side? Remember I said we're working both legs, so they've both already done something. They may get tired quicker on the second side. Here's our last one. Let's hold that leg back. Optional to add that opposite arm lift. Good. And then bring that hand and that foot back down. Again, give it some circles. All right, other direction. All right, now go ahead and help yourself up to a standing position. One of the things our hips do for us all day long is bear our weight through our legs, right? So they're the distribution, the weight-bearing distribution for our ambulation, our walking, our standing. So we're going to practice a few things here. You can hold on to the chair as much as you need, or if you want to challenge yourself to balance or, not rely on the chair, that's a choice you can make as well. So what we'll do is we'll take the feet a little bit apart. I want you to just bend your knees and sort of sit back like you're just sitting into a little squat. All right, and then I want you to shift your weight onto one leg and take the other leg and try to hold it out. All right, so we're just holding here, maybe holding onto the chair. If that's really difficult, you might touch the leg down, but still have most of your weight on the leg underneath you. All right, bring it back in, stand up straight. Sit back down. We want to feel like we're bending right there at the top of the thigh, not rounding in our back, right? Now again, we're going to shift the weight. Take that other leg out. You might be holding on to the chair or you might decide not to. All right, come back to center. Stand it up. This time we're going to do it a little bit different. Sit back into your chair pose again. Shift the weight to one leg, take the other foot and hold it forward. Remember, you could touch the ground or you can try to hold that leg up. Maybe you hold on to the chair, maybe you don't. One more breath. Straighten up, shake it out. Again, sit down into your chair. Try to get that weight back in your heels. Shift the weight to that one leg. Hold the other leg forward, maybe off the ground. Good. And then straighten up, shake it out. Now the last one we're going to do is probably the more challenging one for balance, okay? Because what we did with those first two is we had plenty of spread out space, right? This time we're going to sit into our little chair pose, shift the weight, but then the other leg is going to try to cross behind. And it can touch or it can hover, right? But this tends to make us have a little harder time staying centered. Again, hold on to the chair as needed or try to let go. Try not to let your hip dip too much. Come back to center. Let's try it the other way. Sit back and down. Shift the weight. Take that other leg, cross it behind. Maybe touch the ground. Try not to dip too far in that hip. And then bring it back up. All right, so hopefully we felt those hip muscles, the thigh muscles in front, the outer hip muscles, the glute muscles in back. Now, let's use the top of the chair to give us a nice downward dog-like stretch. So I'll walk the feet back, stretch back out long through the arms and the spine. Take a few deep breaths. All right, now lift up that head and chest, step one leg forward. So that's where you may be thinking, is this really yoga? We haven't done things that I think of as yoga, right? So we do mix it up, right? We're about being mindful. That's the real crux of the yoga that we're practicing. Mindful in our body and our breath and our movement. This one may look a little bit more like a yoga pose if you're familiar. So we're stepping one leg forward into a warrior position. I'm going to really push my back leg straight. And I'm going to try to really get a squeeze in that back buttock. All right, and then I'm trying to lift up from my belly. Maybe raise those arms up. Maybe bend into that front knee a little bit more. This is helping to give us some stretch through the front hip. Kind of counters the seated position that we may spend a good bit of time in. You may also feel a big stretch in the calf on that lower leg. Let's take one more breath here. All right, now you can drop your hands to the chair or to your hips. Straighten that front leg. If you feel you need a little shorter stance, feel free to adjust. It's also a good idea to have your feet about a hip's distance apart. That will help get your hips turned forward, give you a more direct stretch. So now we're going to stretch the hamstring a little bit. Leaning forward, I'm trying to bend at my hip crease. You can use the chair, or I could keep my hands on my hips. Sort of depends on how far you're going. It's perfectly fine to go ahead and fold to the chair, whether you're using it for balance or just to support some of your body weight. We're looking for stretch in the back of the leg that's closer to the chair. If you don't feel much stretch, you might try squaring your hips a little more, drawing that hip of the front leg back, drawing that hip of the back leg forward. Take 2 more breaths here. And then slowly come up. Let's step it on back to that downward dog-like stretch again. And then step forward with the other leg. So we're stepping into our warrior stance on the other side. So that front knee bends, and then try to really straighten that back leg. Get a good squeeze in that glute there. All right, this is where we stay upright. We're sort of tucking the tail down a bit, lifting up from the belly, maybe raising the arms. It could be one arm, right? Raise the arm on the same side as the leg that's back, if that's the case. Or it could be both arms. One more breath. And then bring those hands back down, straightening that front leg. Again, check that your feet are wide enough, right? So that you can draw the hip for that forward leg a little bit back, all right? And then fold forward, keeping a straight spine. We're folding at the crease of the hip joint, taking it until we feel some stretch down the back of that leg through that hamstring. All right, one more breath. And then come on up. All right, now we're gonna do one more stretch in standing. Try taking your feet out wide. Now I know that this is gonna be too high for my body. I'm gonna be able to go further with a wide-legged stretch or fold. So I'm gonna turn my chair around. You can walk around the chair if you want. So got the feet wide, all right? I'm gonna fold forward and you can take your hands down into the seat of the chair. Some folks may be able to go a little further. Maybe some folks want to walk their hands down. There's no certain space or distance that you need to go to. Just see what feels right for your body. This is giving us some stretch both for the backs of the legs and the inner thighs. Sometimes it feels good to do a little side to side movement here. Mobilize those hips, get a little knee movement going as well. All right, now let's walk those feet closer together. Come on up to standing. All right, now we're going to sit back down in the chair to finish up a couple more stretches for the hips. We're going to do the pretty classic or common stretch both in yoga and in maybe your rehab settings or physical therapy exercise classes, and that's called figure four. This is where we try to bring the ankle and cross it up on the knee. However, this may be way more than some people's hips can do, right? That's a pretty big range of motion. So if it doesn't come up to your knee very easily, try crossing your ankle over to your shin, but still try to get that turn out of the thigh, turn upward of the inner thigh. And then maybe there's some room to lean into that a little bit. We're looking for stretch somewhere in the outer hip. Sometimes it's in the inner thigh or the back of the hip, the back of the thigh. We don't want to feel any pressure or pain or pinch at the knee. Okay, so just watch that. Back off a little bit if you feel anything at the knee joint. Take a couple more breaths here. All right, bring it up. Now, if you can cross your leg over, cross it, that same leg all the way over. If that crossing is not hard, easy for you, you could stay where you were, or you could have your legs together and just walk them over to the side, okay? All right, and then just take a little turning towards that leg that's on top or the leg that you were just stretching. Good, and then let's release and uncross and take it to the other side. So start with figure four. So you're going to cross the ankle up to your knee, your thigh, maybe your shin, or down on the ankle. Try to get that turn out. Lean in any amount that feels, available to you. It's okay if it's tight and there's not much room to lean. Just stay where you are. Check in with your breathing. Good. One or two more breaths here. All right, and then cross that leg over. Remember, if crossing over isn't great for your hips, you could stay in figure four or take your legs together and walk them over to the side and then twist away from them. All right, unwind it, turn back to the front, uncross, and just come back to, kind of your comfortable seat with your feet on the floor, your back tall, maybe close your eyes. Just take a moment to bring your awareness into your body. What do you notice about the work that we did today? Are you more aware of your hip joints? Is there more sensation there? Creating more connection between our nervous system and our body is one of the reasons for this practice. One of the benefits of doing a mindful movement practice is that we improve our own capacity within our nervous system to take care of our body, to notice what's going on, and to kind of find that available movement. So let's take one more breath together. Take a big inhale with me. Maybe raise the arms up. Exhale out of the mouth, and bring those hands down or up to the heart, and just take a moment of gratitude. Be grateful for your hips, grateful for your body, and always grateful for AARP of Alabama for giving us these opportunities to practice mindful movement together. Thanks for joining us, and come back to see us next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Time.
Thank you so very much, Becca. We enjoyed that today. To everyone, we appreciate you joining in with us. And as Becca said, we look forward to you joining us each Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time for Mindful Movement with AARP Alabama. Thank you. Bye.